to child labor and to report it and to intervene where you see it happening.
As defined by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of a child is someone under the age of 18. Children constitute over 42% of the Belizean population, and just a little over 50% are boys. In 2013, a National Child Activity Survey was sanctioned by the government of Belize. The previous study was done in 2001. The main focus was on the child and employment. Under the laws of Belize, a child can legally work from the age of 14, but any child between the ages of 5 and 11 who works is involved in child labor.
The study of 2013 was most timely and long overdue. The last study of this type was conducted in 2001, and the launching today of this report is an important milestone in coming to grips with the realities of being a child in our society. A cursory glance at the report confirms the scope, magnitude, and importance of child activity in Belize.
According to the survey, 4.7%, that is 5,188 children, are employed in Belize. Corozal has the highest employment rate of 9.1%, followed by Orange Walk and Toledo. Cayo, however, has the highest number of children employed at 23.6%, followed by Corozal. While the survey did not take into consideration factors that influence the numbers, the level of poverty could not be divorced from the issue. So is child labor preventable?
We have to be careful of how we walk the thin line between working a child and developing a child. And it's an extremely thin line. And I know the experts have done all their work, and I don't want to repeat it. There's a lovely book they've prepared. I like nice books. I'll read it cover to cover, I can assure you. But here's the intervention I want to highlight. When I took the ministry, I said to the Labor Commissioner, I did not, and will never believe in the employer-worker concept. And so when this process started, I said to Labor Commissioner and everybody who was involved, and they've heard this speech before, there's a fine line, but we need to get that fine line clear. Because what we don't want is to be so guarded and so careful that we think that the first time we have our child doing something in the field or in the home or something, some policeman or immigration person or somebody is going to come and say, aha, I got you. That's what you don't want.
The 2013 survey provides data that can be used by several agencies, including the Department of Human Services and other NGOs that work with children. The report revealed that 7 in every 10 children who are working do not go to school, and most have only a primary school education. That larger the household, the more likely the children will be working. While not every child who is employed is involved in child labor, 68% of working children are doing child labor. But all is not bad, says demographer Jacqueline Small, because employment rate of children has dropped by 50% in 12 years.
The children employment rate has gone down since 2001 by about a half. Only, well, 4.7% of children are employed, when in 2001, about 9% of children were employed. And the same is true for children in child labor as well. So it is very important that we recognize that there has been progress in reducing the number of children who are working and the number of children who are in child labor. Nothing is wrong with children being employed if they're employed under the right conditions, they're not exposed to harm, and their development is not being adversely affected. Because children need to do some work in order to learn responsibility. I think that parents on a whole, if they knew that they were exposing their children to danger, they wouldn't. And so we have to tell them that these things can hurt your children. Like we said, not every child who is working is in child labor, right? If your child is working, we want to ensure that this doesn't interfere with their education. They have to go to school. They have to have enough time to do their homework. They have to have leisure time.
The technical and financial support for the survey was provided by the International Labour Organization through the United States Department of Labor funded project Global Action Program under the Elimination of Child Labour 2011.
The main aims of the ILO are to promote rights at work, encourage decent employment opportunities, enhance social protection, and strengthen dialogue on work-related issues. Given its mandate, the ILO formulates international labor standards in the form of conventions and recommendations, setting minimum standards of basic labor rights, that is freedom of association, the right to organize, collective bargaining, abolition of forced labor, equality of opportunity and treatment, and other standards regulating conditions across the entire spectrum of work-related issues.
In looking ahead, Labour Commissioner Ivan Williams says that they have a plan to develop a national strategic program with stakeholders and the oversight from the Ministry of Labour.
You can't divorce child labor, particularly hazardous child labor, with poverty. So I can see people having a challenge because in many respects they might see the children as a source of assisting them, because that is what is really happening. They are also contributing to the economic value of the family. Now, what do you do now if you're taking away that person who is assisting? Now, that I can see where we can have some issues there. Not necessarily from the groups, because from my knowledge, most of the child labor is not happening in respect of a direct employment between an employer and an employee. It's happening in other areas.
Dwayne Moody for News.